Hey everyone, John here. Welcome back to another tutorial. This time we're going to use Mocha Pro with its great 3D camera solver and Matte Assist ML feature, along with Sapphire's Ultra Zap to replace the neon sign in this shot. So let's get started. Okay, so here in After Effects with the layer selected, I'm going to just search for Mocha Pro. That's the first thing we'll do is do the camera solve. I'm going to apply that to the layer. And we're going to go step by step with this, but I'm just going to fast forward the rendering bits just to speed things up a bit. So I'm going to click on Mocha Pro, or click on the Mocha button here, open up the interface, and I'm working in 1920 by 1080, so it's a bit overlappy here, but that's okay. So we want to do a 3D camera solve here, and you can see they're taking up most of the frame, and they're actually moving, so that's going to make that a little difficult. But we can use the new Matte Assist ML feature just to mask them out very quickly, to give the 3D camera solver its best, the best possible situation for it to do its job. So what I'll do is I'll come up and I'll click on this button here. This is the Create New Mask ML layer. And I want to just choose a frame where I can see her forearm there. Okay. I'm going to use dilation with this as well. So this is going to be to make it a little bit easier. And also make sure that we don't have any little areas that get missed and will mess up the 3D solve. Okay, so I'm going to click on the back of his t-shirt, let that just draw the mask or make the selection, and click on her back as well. It's pretty much got everything I need. Might just grab that there and there. Okay, excellent. Click up here on the pick tool to create the mask. Just going to hide the handles for now. That's pretty good. And come over to my matte tab. And I want to dilate this to a level of 20, okay? And click Generate Object Matte. And then come over and click on Render Current Frame. Okay, you can see that's rendered that frame. You can see there's the dilation. Remember, I'm trying to remove any of this movement from the scene, and I'm going to make sure that that happens by dilating this matte. So that's all I need to do. Now I just have to render backwards and render forwards. So I'm just going to click render backwards. I am looking to see if there's any issues. There shouldn't be any problems because of the dilation. Later on, when we do the non-dilated matte, we're going to have a bit of an issue with his elbow, and I'll show you how you can get around that. So that's that way. I'm just going to go back the other way. Shouldn't have to do any extra frames for this, any extra keyframes. And I haven't even had to pause because you can see how fast this is. So that's great. I think that should do the job. So what I'm going to do now is come over to my camera solve. And what I want to do is click on this button here, just to make sure that all of that movement that we've just masked out is removed from the camera solve. So coming down to the camera solve settings, I do actually want to pre-process this a little bit. I want to increase the high pass. We can actually show a preview here. Put that up to 10 and increase the contrast a bit, maybe 1.2, and maybe sharpen this a bit, 5. Okay, so that should be all right. It gives it the best possible chance of success. The floor is quite blurred, so we're probably not going to get much happening on the floor, but it doesn't matter. All we want is a good track point where the neon sign is, okay? So anything else we have to do here? Probably just increase the big blip size because of the depth of field in this, because of the blur. And these are the settings I used when I tested this, so I'm going to try this again. So I'm going to click Solve. All right, so that's done now, and you can see it looks a little strange. Look at the ground plane. It looks a bit weird. And remember I said we're not going to get very many on the floor, and I found in my tests I didn't get many on the floor, but it doesn't matter because we have these ones here, and we really only need one track point. So I mean, I could come in and I could just do the standard where I just select somewhere that's kind of on the floor, click Make Origin, and I can't really select any other floor points because there aren't any, so I could come up and come up to the top here and select the scene. And, I could, do various adjustments to rotate the floor into position. Just do this so I can rotate it around there, maybe a little bit on the Z just to get that kind of in the place. That looks pretty good, right? So if we did need to put something on the floor here, I'm not sure why you would. We'd have to work a little bit harder to get that to work. But for my purposes here, this is just right. But I only need one of these track points. So I'm going to select one that's right in the middle there. And I'm going to right click. I haven't got much space here because of the screen size that I'm working at, the resolution. I'm going to right click and I'm going to invert selection like that. And I don't want to select my camera. I actually have to right click and choose delete selected. There we go. So there's that one point, one track point. That's all I need. And I could export the camera data from here if I wanted to, but I'm going to just grab that in the After Effects interface. So I'm going to save and close. Very nice. And I'm going to come up to my 3D camera data and I'm going to choose nulls and features visible and create 3D data. Okay, so there's my track point. That's my null. And there's my camera with all of the keyframes. Very nice. All right, so next, what I want to do is create the content that's going to replace the neon. So what I'll do is I'll create a new solid. And I was actually playing around with the color before. I just sampled the color from there about midway between the roof, which is a bit pink, and the neon, so somewhere about there. I'm just going to turn that off for a moment because I want to select this and hit R and just reset these. You can see it's got single keyframe, so we'll just turn off the keyframes and we'll just put in 0, 0, 0 for this. Like that. That straightens that up. Very nice. And turn that on and we'll make that 3D. And then with the parenting column visible for parent and link, I'm going to hold down Shift and I'm going to parent it to that tracking point, like that. There we go, moving really nicely forward towards that in 3D space. Okay. I can probably scale that up a little bit. And what I'll also do is I will grab the mask tool and put a little mask on that, like something like that, and hit F to feather and feather that out like that. We can adjust that a little bit more later. So something like that, okay? So next we want to add the neon. So I'm going to add it to this layer. So I'm going to use Ultra Zap for that. Sapphire's Ultra Zap has some neon presets, and there's a heart in there that I created that is going to be perfect for this. So double click, it's going to add some lightning. Click on Load Preset. And down here is the heart. And notice it says has Mocha. I'm going to load that up. And there's my heart. Very nice. If I click on Edit Mocha, this is using Sapphire Mocha. And you can see there's the heart spline. We're going to adjust that in a minute. I'm going to come back to that. Okay, don't save. And I might just, while I can see this, I'm just going to change the color. See, this is a little more orange or yellow, I guess. So I'm just going to sample that. And this is the bolt 1. We have a bolt 2 here as well under secondary bolt structure. So there's a secondary bolt, which is more red. But for bolt 1, I just want to use something like that. See, it's a little more closer to that. We're going to do some rack defocus on that later as well. Nice. All right. So I think the next thing to do is to actually mask our talent out a little more tightly so that we can comp them over the top. And we can use Mocha Pro again for that and Matte Assist ML. So I'll duplicate the layer, the footage, put that on top. And of course, if we use the matte that we've created, if I say apply matte, it works, but it's dilated, right? So it has that dilation. So I could come in and, I could do a negative dilation, but you see it's not going to quite do the job that I want. It's still leaving some pixels in here. And I'm going to have to just do another quick matte inside of Mocha Pro, but it's very fast. So what I'll do is I will reset that, click on Mocha again, and I'm going to do exactly the same as I did before. So just find a frame around the middle. It's a little more important this time because I want to get this looking a little tighter. So I will come up again and I will choose my great new mask ML layer and click. Just wait for that. And click again. Very nice. Looks like it's got most of it. Might just grab these edges. Now this is going to be an issue here around the elbow. And I know that because I've already done this. So what we'll do is we will create the mask, just hide those handles, and come over to the matte tab. No dilation this time. Generate object matte and render that frame. All right. So what I want to do now is I'm going to render backwards. And just watch out for this elbow area. And we're not worried about this side here. It doesn't matter that the t-shirt's not in because this won't be anywhere near this new layer, this new neon layer. And also over here is not really an issue. Maybe just around here might be, but probably not. Because you saw the size of our solid, okay? So we'll keep going and just watch that elbow around here. It just starts to pop out. It's not, there you go. It's not doing too bad a job. What you can do is when you come to a frame that's not really working, just go to the one before and then the next one, maybe that one there, like that. And we're going to create another keyframe. So the way we do that is to this time choose the plus option and click again. So now we've included that little section. Everything else seems to be okay. So we will once again do that and render that frame. So there's my new keyframe, and then I'm going to keep going. Just like that. So we're losing a little bit again there, but that's the process, okay? Sometimes you have to add a few extra frames, and that will just help the matte. But overall, it's doing pretty well. So when I've done that, I will come back to here and just render forward. And that's how I do it. So I'm just going to do that now, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that now. And I've had to add a couple more keyframes in there. It's still a little bit jumpy, but I think overall it's done a pretty good job. Now, but this is called Matte Assist ML. So it's going to be able to do some mattes much faster and cleaner than it will others, depending on your content. But overall, that's pretty good. So all I have to do is save that now and come back to After Effects. Okay, back here in After Effects, let's click to apply the matte. Aha, there we go. So it's looking pretty good. Now, something to notice here is that neon, the original neon's fairly big, and we're getting these edges where we can, see the light wrap around the subject. So what's going to be important if we just turn on these other layers is to try and hide that a little bit, because you can see, let's just turn that off. So it's hiding that pretty well up here where we've got the neon, but down here it looks a bit weird, right? So we're actually going to enhance this neon tube to add a few more hearts and just flesh it out a little bit to hide these areas. And in a way, actually make it look better. So let's do that now. So we'll come down to our Ultra Zap, click on Edit Mocha. And in here, what I want to do is just be on frame 1. Don't want to set any keyframes inadvertently. I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate and just scale that up. Just holding down the Shift and Alt key. Scale that up, something like that. I can get that in place. Very nice. So no keyframes were created there. Let's just select this one. Come over to here, heart copy. Heart is locked. And I'm going to scale that one down to there. And maybe select it all and just move it down a bit to make it a little more even. And something like that. Pretty good. This can always be adjusted later. And what I'll do is I'll duplicate that again. Select all. Just move that down to the side here. This is going to be helpful in hiding those edges on our subject. Not hiding them, but making them seem like there's a reason why they're there. Leave that one there. And we'll duplicate again. Select all. Just bring that across the other side. So we're designing our neon sign. And it's all about love, right? We could put hearts all around here. Okay, so we'll save that. And we'll go back. This will update automatically like that. And see what I mean? There's a little bit down here as well, but overall, that's doing the job that we want. I mean, you can see this around here, but I think we're going to be okay. What we do have to do, though, is come up here and dilate this slightly to -2. Bring that back a bit. And what we'll also do is just do high quality like that. And we'll feather it as well. So we'll give a feather of 2. All right. Now, what we also have to do down here under Ultraglow composite settings is choose screen like that. There we go. Now we can turn the bottom on. Aha. So it's starting to happen. See, this one's a little close to the feather or the mask there. We may have to move those ones up a little bit. But all of these adjustments are really easy to make. It's a little low, right? And a little big. So I'll just go back into Mocha. This one can probably come up a bit. I don't want to change the shape of it. Just select it all and just shrink it down. Bring it up towards the top a bit. We've got more flexibility at the top. Select all of this. Bring this up. Could even put another one right in the middle of that if you wanted to. Select this one and this one. I can't do them both at the same time, so I'll just bring that up into there. And this one up into here. Quick save, out, and update it. Like that. That's exactly how I approach this. So we are still seeing a little bit here, so it might be nice to put, another heart in the middle there, so we can hide that around there. But overall, not bad. What we could do is do a bit of rack defocus on this. You can see our original is quite defocused at the beginning and then a little sharper towards the end. So why don't we do that? We'll add some rack defocus. Rack defocus. And we want it to be fairly defocused there. And I'm going to hit SS just to hide, just to show that defocus width, because that's the last parameter that I adjusted in After Effects. So I'll set that. Let's just make it around 32. And as we go towards it, nice and close, right towards the end, let's bring that right down. And this will help sell a little bit. Down to 5. So out of focus, and as we get closer, we go into focus. Very nice. All right. Now you may be noticing that we're losing a bit at the top here. And that's because we made that mask quite tight. And currently there's no feature in Mocha Pro to get around that. I did actually make a feature request when I discovered this. But what we can do, and this is where it might be good to work with, say, 4K or even bigger. If you need 4K, work in 6K, and then you have the flexibility to scale it. But what I'm going to do is just add an adjustment layer. So layer new. Let me see, I can't see because my recording bar is in the way. Layer new, adjustment layer. And what I'll use, I'm going to use Transform. You could use the After Effects one. I'm going to use the Boris Effects Transform, BCC Plus. And just apply that. And I'm just going to scale this by 2%. So scale X, it's gang, set to gang, so it'll do the Y as well, 102. Scale it up, just to hide that. If you're watching this on TV, you may not see that, maybe in modern televisions you would. That's pretty nice. And what we also would be really nice is if we did a little bit of light wrap, and I'm going to fake that using Ultra Glow. So if I just search for Ultra Glow, and drop that on top, stick that in there. Aha, that's a little too much though. So what we'll do is we will just increase the threshold and also decrease the brightness a little bit, and also the glow width, bring that down. And probably let's make this a little more yellow, maybe. We could mask out the window, but I don't suppose you necessarily have to. Just integrating that a little bit better. Maybe the afterglow is too big, and something like that. So like I said, we are still getting a little bit of brightness around areas where they've occluded the original neon sign, but we can always adjust this one to further hide that. But that feather on that mask, just sampling a color out of the background, it's done a pretty good job. And you could always, do another color grade over the top of this as well. And you could also consider, if you have the Boris Effects suite, using the light wrap from Continuum, just to add a little more light wrap and make that a little more uniform around there. Now, while I was researching this project, I found this shot that was obviously taken at the same shoot. I thought the previous one that I just showed you is a little more challenging, but I just wanted to show you this because I use exactly the same workflow to change the neon for this shot as well. You can see I've got the Mocha camera in there, and there's my neon with the solid. I've just pre-composed it in this one, and you can see it's tracked into the shot nicely. And to occlude the chairs, I've duplicated the chairs and used Matte Assist ML just to matte that out as well. So, I could use exactly the same technique on multiple shots on the same shoot to replace this neon sign, which is really great. And it looks pretty good, right? I like this shot as well. If you have any questions, or if you just like to leave a comment and say how much you love the tutorial, please do. And if you want to learn more about Mocha Pro and Sapphire, you can visit the Boris Effects website, where you can also download a free trial. For now, this is John. See you in the next tutorial.